real are we about to get with some of this? Get your coffee. Okay. I was able to benefit from a golden age in Instagram. I was also able to benefit because when I did decide to go all in on my art, I was 23. I was 23. Not a worry or a care in the world. Okay. And when I think about the worries and the cares and the worlds that I had, I'd be like, girl, find some business. Get a hobby. Okay, so I'm gonna try to talk low because Andy's asleep, but I still want to speak at a volume where y'all can hear me. Okay, so that's kind of what we got going on here, but I got the microphone. But anywho, okay. Merry Christmas. I'm recording this on New Year, Christmas Eve, okay? We have family coming in town tomorrow on Christmas Day. I gotta cook. Like, there's a whole thing going on, okay? But I was just having all these thoughts, and I'm like, I gotta get them out. It's early in the morning. Andy's still asleep. I'm drinking my coffee. It's kind of the perfect time to have this conversation. And the conversation was inspired by a lot of different things, but like it felt like a sign when I got an email from one of y'all. Okay, so shout out to Chris, one of the subscribers on both channels, really, on my main channel, A.O. Hamer the artist, and this channel, the Gemini Diary. He was asking different things. Like, I don't want to like, tell all his business, but like it wasn't nothing crazy. It was kind of just like asking about my art studio and like how am I managing things? Like just like really just really had some questions, but specifically around art studios, around space, around feeling like he has a lot of paintings and he's kind of busting at the seams with all the paintings that's in his space, and I can totally relate. Like if y'all seen my other studio and like just I feel like that is such a common I think he said it to an email, or maybe I heard it from another artist. It was like the curse of being a creative or something. Like we hoard, we just have so much, and I totally agree. I feel like I'm in the same boat, and it's something that I'm trying to manage. So like, to be honest, Chris, I don't have much in regards to resolving this issue, but I do have a couple things that came to mind. Okay. But of course, with me, I'm like the overthink queen. Okay. If there was an award for overthinking, it will be me. But I really think that these conversations can help somebody, it can help other artists. And like, I wish I heard some of this stuff, and in me saying it, this be stuff that I be needing to hear too. So yeah, we just gonna have the conversation. Also, it might get real existential. Okay, like if you're new here, welcome. I'm Aramis Hamer. I'm an artist who works in Seattle, Washington. I paint large-scale, colorful, cosmic queens, and with me painting acrylic paintings that are so large on canvas, that are framed. Yes, space is a huge thing for me. And so I recently uploaded a video on my main channel titled Just a Girl in Her Art Studio. That was the other thing that stimulated this conversation, was because like that video is like doing kind of good on the channel. Like it's been up for 2 days and it has like 2,000 views. And usually if my video's up for a week, it'll kind of barely break 1,000 views being up for a week. So for it to be up for 2 days and to be having over 2,000 views is pretty good. And like when I uploaded, it was 1 out of 10. So if you're a content creator, then that's like a top performing video out of your last 10 videos that you uploaded. So studio has been coming up. The comments in that video were, love for my work as well as for my studio. And okay, the other thing, okay, just nestle in. Okay, we're not getting to the point soon. There is no point. Nothing matters. All is one. We're all just light beings here, down here, creating. Okay, so it's like if you're looking for a grand aha moment, I can't give that to you, but maybe whatever you're processing in your mind, maybe whatever I'm saying throughout this conversation can stimulate something for you that can help be a personal breakthrough for you that you've created for yourself. But I can't give that to you, okay? So nestle in, get up, let's start cleaning the kitchen, let's start vacuuming the floor, let's start painting, let's start creating, crocheting, whatever you need to do, because we might be chatting for a minute, okay? I don't know. This actually might be quick. We love a good dark roast, French press, okay? Bonjour. Did I upload the Paris? She loved the French. Okay. The other thing that stimulated this. So it was just like I just feel like there's so many things that lined up that was like, girl, speak on it. I'm like, okay. I recently watched a video on YouTube of a woman who's 55 who just quit her job. And I was like, interested. Okay. It was an interesting video, good video. You could tell from the comments that people like received it really well. What's also interesting for me in my life, as I just did a vision board session with my friends. I'm like, I love my girls. Okay, shout out to the girls. Y'all seen them in the vlogs. I love my crew, love my gang. I went to Paris with a couple of them, and we recently had our vision board session. So that's another reason why a lot of this stuff is on my mind, where just thinking about what the next chapter looks like. And I'm going through some chapter transitions. I recently got back from Chicago. I talked about that in the main channel when my mom was going through health issues. She had a spinal surgery. Okay, so this was like a full-on invasive spinal surgery where she was like in the hospital for a week. I stayed in Chicago for 2 weeks to help her while she was in the hospital and post-operatively to help her recover. With home health, they got a hospital bed and delivered to her house so that she could like be able to move herself and go up and down on the bed and just have a lot more comfortable experience. And so like it was an invasive surgery. Okay, she's doing so much better now. She's doing so well. She's walking, she's up and moving, like she's doing great. She's on the road to recovery. Okay, so thanks everybody for the love. She's doing well. But okay, so watching this video of this woman who quit her job at 55. I'm about to tell y'all all my tea, okay? I'm 35, okay? My mom is 55, so my mom is the same age as this woman. So I have a young mom, a fairly young mom for being 35, and my mom is 55. So, and also my mom is pretty young for some of the health issues that she has, like to be 55 and undergoing like a full-on spinal surgery. She also has had some other surgeries as well, but anywho, so health, and she's a nurse. I was a registered nurse before I quit my job and became a full-time artist. Is it 7 years ago? What do I be saying? 7 years ago, pretty much 2016. Let's say 2016. So yeah, so 8, is it coming up on 9 years? You are kidding me. What? Anywho, okay, yeah, we are going to be entering the 9th year of this journey, which is crazy. But yeah, I put my nursing license in retirement. I retired my nursing license in 2017. I quit my job in 2016 and I retired my nursing license in 2019 because I remember it was a year before the pandemic and I didn't even know that was going to happen. Of course, none of us knew that 2020 would be what it was going to be, but I remember holding on to my nursing license for those years and just you have to take continuing education courses, so CEUs, continuing education units. You have to have a certain number per year to maintain your nursing license. After some years and stuff, I didn't want to do that. I also felt like a fraud. I felt like, okay, well, I'm not practicing as a nurse. Like, can I still have an active nursing license? Like, if I actually went to a hospital, I wouldn't know what the new medications are. Like, it's coming up on like 9 years now. I don't know what the new evidence-based practice models are. Like, there's a lot where I feel like it probably isn't even like true or authentic for me to actually have an active nursing license, knowing that I haven't worked as a nurse, So I put my nursing license in retirement, but health care is something that I'm very passionate about and helping people. And so I feel like part of me even sharing stuff on YouTube is like me channeling that like helping people energy, because I feel like when you tell people what's going on, when you can tell people behind the curtain, behind the veil, when you are more transparent, it can help somebody in their life, so hopefully this can like help you with what you got going on in your life. Okay. But here's what I've been thinking, because what was interesting about the woman who quit her job at 55, the video that I said that I recently watched, she quit her job at 55. And so she's starting her YouTube channel. She's kind of like going all in on her YouTube channel. And I have a video on this channel talking about something like pretty much like being delusional as a YouTuber and like a content creator, because that's how I felt like I was. I'm not saying she's like that. I'm saying I felt like I was being delusional because we see all these videos of people quitting their job and like how much money I made on YouTube and like all these different things. But when you really look at those videos of the people of how much they make it on YouTube, that is not an annual salary that somebody can actually live on, you know. And it depends on a category that they're in. It depends on, you know, now granted, if they're a finance channel, sure, like the finance channels have some of the highest CPMs and RPMs, whatever. We ain't have to go into all the YouTube terminology, okay? But pretty much finance channels pay the most. Also business channels. So I get it. When artists start talking about business stuff, their CPMs are higher, become higher because they are talking about business and money, you know? So that's why you'll kind of like see some of those videos, and YouTube will also push more of those videos because they get more money from, like, advertisers are willing to pay more for those videos. What all of this sort of had me thinking about was somebody can, like, I can tell you right now, like for Chris, who emailed me, right, and was like, hey, what are your thoughts about like an art studio? Like, I'm thinking about different things. Like, what do you think? You know, the reason why I'm hesitant to like give advice to people is because we're all going through different things in different seasons of our life. And like, and I know he knows it. Like, I know, like, we know this on an intellectual level, but I think it's also important to say it though. I think it's important to remember our unique situation and the unique seasons and chapters that we are in our life, that we are in our life, that might be different from somebody else. So I'm in a season in my life where I'm a healthy 35-year-old woman who is married and has the support of her husband and has been working on my art career for the past 10 years. So I have an accumulation of multiple streams of income, a collector and client base, a social media following on Instagram, be it how big or small you think it is. For whoever, I have 22,000 followers on Instagram. Now 14,000 subscribers on my main YouTube channel. This one I think it's like 1,000 or something. But I have patrons. I've had my Patreon for 4 years, going on 5 years. So I'm in a different season in my life than other people might be on. This is the 6th studio that I've had. I've had 5 other studios before the current studio that I'm in now, where I uploaded on the main channel that vlog. So I'm also familiar with what my needs are in my practice, considering the scale of paintings that I create. But also that does impact, from this journey, it has taught me, like, one, I actually might need to be painting smaller, okay? Because at a certain point, I will be busting out at the seams, you know? Now, something that I did do, and so this is just like a little tip. I do like sharing some of these. Something that I do to help sort of like purge and clean my studio, I do auction events. So as artists, we're constantly creating, we're constantly making more, like making stuff. And so it's like every piece doesn't have to sell for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sometimes it is helpful just to get the paintings out of the studio, but not throw them away. You know, like you still want them to go to a good home. So it could be nice to do an auction event where you do it. So I did this during 2020 in the pandemic, where I did like a virtual auction event. I did another one in 2022. It was in person and it was virtual. And so I was able to get rid of maybe like 12, if I remember, maybe it was like 12 to 15 paintings during like each auction, you know? And so that's super helpful because now I'm able to get rid of these paintings. They're able to find a great home. I'm able to earn some money from it, but not hang on to, because like sometimes if you have a painting priced at, like if you have a painting that's like $7,000, it's like it might take a little time to sell that painting. Depending on wherever, you know, depending on if you're trying to sell it yourself out your studio, if you're working with an art dealer, or if you're working with a gallery, if you have it up at a coffee shop, like, you know, there's so many different ways to try to sell the piece. But in actuality, it might take some time to sell pieces. Like there's been times where I've held on to paintings for years before they sold, you know. So that's something to think about. But one thing that did help me was hosting an auction event. And so that's a good way if you're trying to like get rid of a lot of paintings. But the other thing, when I think about like my art studio, part of me be feeling like man, like I don't want to be a person that somebody's like comparing themselves to. One, it's kind of natural for us to compare ourselves to people, but I think what I know that I can do and how I can show up is like where this is like a balancing point, to just like check in with people where it's like, okay, what are my circumstances? Because what I also remember and what had me thinking in regards to like my mom just having this surgery, like literally she just had this surgery like a couple weeks ago. Like I was just in Chicago, just came back. We was in Cali, just came back. Like I feel like I've just been traveling so much where I kind of hadn't even been in my studio a lot. So it's also thinking about like what type of lifestyle do you have? Like, are you traveling a lot? Like, are you, like, also the other thing I was thinking about going back to painting more murals. So I'm like, okay, if I'm actually painting out in the street where I'm able to paint big because clearly I enjoy painting big, but I don't have to keep those paintings because now they're up permanently on a wall that's out in the city. I don't have to store it and bring it back to my studio. Like that's another option too, So it's also thinking about your current practice and your current style and like what you do. And if your current circumstances is making it difficult for you, it's like, is it time to pivot? Because honestly, for me, I am thinking there is going to be a time to pivot where I'm going to have to paint smaller paintings. Like it's really the truth is really. And when I think about some of the changes, like when we have kids, like do I keep my studio at that point? Like the reality is that your priorities do change as your life changes. So so the other thing that we were talking about in the email was being able to paint anytime. So that is a nice thing about having a home studio. Whenever you feel like you want to paint, you can paint anytime. Now I do have like a little paint setup, some like right here at home when I just gotta get something out. I do have that here. So I think it is helpful to have like a little something, like even if it's just setting up something on a dining room table, like it is nice just to be able to get something out. But that is something to consider. Like, is that okay with your process? For me, I do like, it's crazy having the commute that I have. I'm about like a 45-minute, from my older studio where I had to like leave, it was like a 45-minute to an hour commute, but that's when there wasn't any traffic. It was always traffic. Okay. So it actually ended up being sometimes like an hour and 20 minutes, or like, don't let it be an accident. Don't let it be, it would take me like an hour and like 45 minutes to get home, So it also depends on the time of day, like whatever, but it was just crazy. But now, it takes me about like 35 to 40 minutes on a train. And it's really nice because I'm able to have a passive ride. So I'm able to just check my emails, sketch, read a book, just like vibe out on a train. And I do feel like that buffer time of me just like either driving or being on a train before I get to the studio. I'm gonna try not to whisper as much so that my voice isn't cracking. That 15-minute time of me, whatever that like little commute time before I get to the studio, I do feel like it preps me creatively and like mentally. It's kind of like that primer time where I'm like, cool, versus just like diving straight into the painting. Like it's always kind of difficult to kind of just like dive right into the creative process. So it's nice to have that priming time. So for me, I like a commute. I mean, of course it'd be great if it was close. It'd be great if it was like 10 minutes away. I'm not saying like a commute, but I'm saying I found that it actually works for me now, having like that little primer time to work on other stuff, work on the business, reply back to customers or emails during that time. And then I'm able to be in my studio and create, So it's all about like what works for you. The other thing is financially, So with my studio, it's more expensive than my previous studio. So with an increased expenses, I have to work more. So that's something I've been thinking about too, about like my capacity, how I want my days to work. Now, the thing is, I don't think you have to work more, but you are going to have to increase your income. So whatever that looks like, whether that's raising the prices on your paintings, adding other streams of income, like whatever works for you. But I do think that multiple streams of income is important. And so some of the things that I do, I paint murals, of course, my e-commerce, like my shop. So I sell like all my prints and every merch and stuff on my shop. I sell my originals. I do paint murals for the city, customers, small business owners, clients. I do consulting for arts organizations. They'll pay me a certain stipend to consult them on different projects. So for example, like I did one with this organization in Seattle where they wanted to create an artist call, but they didn't know how to do it. So they were like, let's reach out to an artist so that she can tell us how this artist call should be written. So if you go to, you'll probably see there's call for art that are posted or different places. A website that I use often is called Cafe. I think it's callforentry.org, and you can filter all the different settings. You can filter it based on exhibitions, festivals, grants, performing arts, visual arts, public art. Like there's just so many different things, but they have thousands of artist calls all over the world on that website. And so arts organizations or organizations will hire me to consult them. I'll be commissioned to paint a certain thing. So for example, now I'm working with the Fifth Avenue Theater where I'm going to be painting. They're doing like a Harlem Renaissance themed performance, and they want each of the like cabaret tables to be hand painted by local artists. So they commission me. Well, I applied for one of their calls, and they are commissioning me to paint one of those tables. So that's another project. So I have like multiple projects going on at a certain time. Of course, I have my Patreon as well. I've earned a little bit from YouTube. It's probably like, since I haven't been as consistent as I used to be. I used to make like about $150 a month from YouTube, but now it's probably about like $50 a month. I don't even so Google's threshold is to at least make $100 a month for them to pay you out for that month. So sometimes I don't even make the $100 threshold where I have to wait till the next month. And then by the time those 2 months culminate, and then I've reached the $100 threshold, and then I'm paid like the $160 or whatever of like those 2 months put together. But yeah, recently I haven't even been making like the threshold to even be paid on a monthly basis through YouTube. But I do like YouTube because I'm able to connect and share, and also I'm able to gain patrons through that and also market my online shop. So I feel like in YouTube I've kind of I changed it in my mind where it's like I don't want to like earn money from YouTube. Of anything, I feel like I'm just being paid to market myself, which feels like such a gift. It feels like such a honor. I'm like, man, I don't have to pay to market myself on y'all platform. Like y'all pay me to talk about myself and my art. Like, wow, okay, thank you. That's wonderful. So, but okay, that had me thinking about that. But the main thing was like, think about like what is specifically uniquely going on in your life and about the different seasons in your life, So I'm able to benefit from this certain season. And so then I was thinking about this other YouTuber who uploaded that video about her being 55. And then I was thinking about my mom who just had this surgery and who's also 55. And I think about like if my mom watched that video and was like, wow, like she's 55 and she just quit her job and like, and she's starting her YouTube channel, like maybe I can do that, But I think about my mom who is post-operative and who is now in chronic pain. And she's not able, and like currently, like right now, like her physical limitations that were prescribed by her orthopedic surgeon is that she can't sit up for more than 30 minutes. Like she got to sit for 30 minutes. She has to wear this brace. Like it's a whole thing, right? And so even the process of like sitting up and editing a video isn't an option right now for my mom with her circumstances, So I really like to point out the fact of like being a conscious consumer of content and realizing that like the people who you're seeing online have different circumstances than you, and you have to look at things through your life and like what's specifically going on in your life. And also I'm reminding myself too to not compare myself to people because they might be in a completely different situation than what I'm going through, And so when I think about my mom who might be like, man, like I'm frustrated with my job, or like, now she's going to be on disability with everything. But anywho, if she's like, okay, cool, like I'm gonna quit my job and try this whole YouTube thing. Also, I've been doing YouTube for 4 years now. And like, I talked about this in one of the videos. Was it? There's a theme here. I see stuff that I'm talking about. The other video that I remember me talking about is the stop taking advice from the internet video. Clearly, I just like to check in with people and be like, yo, like, what works for you, what works for you, and what works for your life, And I think, and so the other video I was talking about was being disillusioned and like being delusional, like wanting to do like the full-time YouTuber thing. The thing is, somebody can be a full-time YouTuber. Like you could be a full-time content creator, you could be a full-time artist, you can do all those things. The thing is, they are going to require effort. And a lot of people don't want to put in the effort. It's the truth. I gotta say this, look, shout out to my girl. I ain't gonna say no names though too, cause like she might make it work at some point. But I was on her podcast. She hadn't started the podcast yet. So she's like, Aramis, like I'm accumulating. This is not Alicia. Okay. Like, let me just point it. No, I was just on Alicia's podcast. They gonna have it up and going, like they good to go. Okay. So this is not Alicia. This is another friend. Okay. Super proud of Alicia. I was on her podcast, Creative Narrative Podcast. When it goes live, I'm gonna link it. Okay, y'all. I'm actually gonna make a playlist of all the different podcasts that I've been on, because I feel like with the Gemini Diary, it's a very talkative platform. And so like you all might like hearing me talk. And so yeah, if I'm not uploading here on a Gemini Diary, it's because I'm on somebody else's podcast sharing something, and I'm sure maybe y'all would like to hear that. So I'll put a playlist of some of the other podcasts that I've been featured on. But this is not Alicia, okay? Love my girl. I love this other friend as well, but I was just like, really, girl? So she's like, yeah, I want to start my YouTube channel. Like I want to start this like artist podcast stuff. I was like, okay, dope. She was like, yeah, can I interview you? I would love for you to be one of the guests. I was like, absolutely, I was like, cool. And she had texted me one of these days and was like, I'm not starting a podcast. Like it's all been put on hold for right now. Sorry. And it's totally fine. It's okay. But at the same time, like life happens, right? She's a mom, like she got life, like there's just so many different things that's going on where it's like all of us not just thinking about editing all day and making a podcast or like, you know what I mean? Like it takes real time to do this stuff, And so I want people to know that like you aren't a bad person if you aren't able to be consistent with some of this stuff, because how real are we about to get? How real are we about to get with some of this? Get your coffee. Get your coffee, get your tea, get whatever you need. A lot of these people who able to commit to full-time YouTube stuff don't have a life outside of YouTube. Like it is what it is. Like the honest truth is that a lot of them don't have friends. Like it's like, how many of the videos that was popping up? I was like, y'all remember like the era of YouTube, and it was just like, I don't have friends and that's okay. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, that's fine. I also feel like, I don't know. I just don't think that we should be like I just don't think that we should be like sort of pedestalizing this like antisocial behavior. I think like friends and family and having a support system is some of the most incredible anchoring moments for people that can make us feel connected to humanity, ourselves, and love. Like there was something like with people who are recovering from alcoholism or like whatever support group, like they say the likelihood of your success is based on if you have a support system, if you have people who are in your life who are helping you get through something, And so when I think about like the whole, I don't have any friends, I don't talk to people, I don't like to go out, that's fine if that's just who you naturally are, because like that's how some people are genuinely like that. Like that's who they are, and that's okay. Now, of course, as an extrovert, I'm not that girl and that's okay. Okay. But what I'm saying is that like, I don't think that we should be like making all these videos about it where now people are like, well, yeah, I'm just about like where it's kind of these cute little funny memes about like ghosting friends or being happy that plans are canceled or like not going to your friends' things to support them. Like I don't like shit like that, because the thing is like I have incredible friends, and it's because we've cultivated relationships, and I know how good it feels when I have a support system. Like I know how good it feels when my friends do show up for me, when I invite them to my birthday and they do show up. up when I invite them to my art show and they come. Like, it feels so good. It feels so encouraging and validating, and like I feel so seen and supported, you know. And it also makes me want to show up in the world and let other people know that like you are important as well, like you are valued. And but I also get how relationships is based on reciprocity. Like, if I have a certain quote unquote friend who keeps canceling on me, or I'm inviting them to stuff and they not come, like, at a certain point I'm gonna stop inviting them to stuff. Like, that's totally natural. I don't think that's like, oh, now she not about to fight. Yeah, bitch, I've invited you to 17 different things. Why am I about to keep inviting you? You making it clear to me, like you making it clear, But anywho, that's a whole nother like side point. But I'm saying a lot of these YouTube people, all they doing is YouTube, okay? All they doing. And so it's like when you got like your friends, your family in real life, when you got people in real life where you trying to cultivate genuine relationships, you can't be editing for 26 hours all day when you have a real life going on. Like, I get the reality of it, It's like I got a whole real life going on. At the same time, I'm still trying to edit for 26 hours. I'm still editing, So it's just, I just try to do it in these pockets of time where, Andy sleep, or if I love being on an airplane. Okay, like get me on a good flight from Seattle to Chicago. Okay, give me a good 4-hour flight. Your girl will sit there and edit the whole time. Like, it's just so perfect. It's so perfect. And that's why I also love like just like those long time, like the times of commute. Like if I'm driving or something, I'm able to record these videos with y'all, or I'm able to edit on the train. I'm able to reply to emails on the train. Like, I am trying to optimize all these different little dead pockets of time. It's not dead. Like, they can still be activated with different things, But anywho, so I feel like maybe this is just the message that I need to hear, because I be feeling like, man, like it just be so hard to keep up with some of the stuff, and I think we be looking at other people, and so like maybe some of y'all was like looking at me from the video and being like, damn, like how's she able to keep up with some of this stuff? Like, I don't be feeling like I'm keeping up. Okay, like the video that I just uploaded on my main channel, the video before that, I hadn't uploaded for 3 weeks. It was coming up on a month, and then because I was traveling, I'm helping taking care of my mom. So it's like, if you got like real stuff going on where you're helping to care for loved ones, you got your kids, or you're going through chronic health issues, like, I just think it's just really important for us to not to compare ourselves. Like, I think it is fine to like ask, like, hey, like, what are some of the things that you're doing? Like, what are some, but for me, I'm not even sure if some of that is helpful, because it's like, if you can't do that, then how is that helpful for you? It's like, oh, well, oh, oh, how did you build the frames? Like, oh, well, part of the privilege that I have is that I have a husband who was like a handyman. Like, I'd be calling him like Handy Andy. It's kind of like a joke. Like, that's the joke with Andy around the family, because he's so handy. he's a handyman. He knows how to fix things, build things. We have a garage where we're able to cut these things. We have a saw, like we have one of those industrial saws where he was able to cut and saw. Like, if y'all watch the video on the main channel where Andy like built these custom frames for me from crown molding that we found at Home Depot, like, that's a privilege to be able to have all that. So it's like, if somebody is like in their apartment with their mom and they don't have a saw, they don't have any of the things, I'm like, I'm not sure if that's helpful for them, Now, granted, there are some people who also do live in a house and do have a saw and do have, maybe a partner or somebody who is handy as well. And they're like, okay, yeah, I'm like, no, we actually could do that. It's like, okay, great. I'm happy to share. I did share. It's the whole video of how we did it on the channel, So I'm not saying like I'm not going to share, but I just want to I just want people to be aware when people are sharing certain things. If something doesn't apply for you, or if something doesn't, if it's not applicable directly to your life, keep in mind that that's okay. Like, it's not like, oh man, I can't do this because I don't have this type of studio that she got, or like, oh, I can't do this. It's like, okay, maybe you weren't able to do exactly what she's doing, but what can you do? Like, what can you do for your life and your circumstance? Like, what is actually more like beneficial for you. Because it's like, maybe if you working at home, like that's even better. Like you don't have to commute. You can literally roll out of bed and start painting, and if that works for you, then that's so wonderful. That's great. That's even better than what I have. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just about celebrating our individual moments and knowing what like works for us. But what I do realize with art is that we gotta let go, y'all. We got a lot, like we keep, let me not speak for y'all, but like, I know for me, I have been on a journey of letting go. And part of this was also when I was working for this other artist. I was talked about on the main channel how, maybe, oh no, I talked about it here too. Like that video said, I got a job, or can I call myself a full-time artist? I'm not working here no more. So now I'm back to doing me. But I was a studio assistant for another artist where I was painting her glass sculptures. And I was also just helping around the studio, keeping the place clean and stuff. And she was an older woman who was in her 70s. And she pretty much has like this huge space, beautiful, beautiful space. And it is full to the brim with her artwork. And it's stunning. Like it looks incredible. Like it looks like a museum in there. Like it looks like a collection of all of her life's things, but it did have me thinking like, man, when I'm 70, like how much artwork am I going to have, So what I have been thinking about, how can I be more intentional about what I'm creating? Where can I, so kind of one of the things that I've been thinking about more is doing more public art. And it's funny because I was kind of ebbing and flowing back and forth between painting murals and not painting murals. And I was talking to Andy about this recently too, because I was saying like, there's this artist here, look, as we're talking about not comparing, like as I'm comparing myself to him, but whatever. But there's this super dope artist out here in Seattle. His name is Ryan Henry Ward. He paints all these murals around the city. And it's like this cartoon style and stuff. Like he has a very like iconic style. Like when you see his piece, you know that Henry did it. And his tag is like this white circle with his name Henry in there. And so love his pieces. He's been doing murals for probably like probably 30 years, probably over 40. He's an older guy too, So that was the thing. So I was thinking like, I'm saying I'm 35, right? I'm like, I'm getting older. Like, I don't know if I want to be out in the street painting murals and stuff. But then I started thinking about Henry. I'm like, Henry is like gray, okay? Fully gray salt and pepper hair, okay? I'm like, Henry's still out here doing these murals and stuff. And I'm like, well, whatever. That's what he want to do, okay? Maybe that's not what I want to do. And also the other thing that I was talking to Andy about is that like, I'm a woman, and sure, okay, yeah, we don't want to have gender things, but the reality is I do be concerned about my safety when I'm out painting late at night, which I don't do. Andy be like, woman, bring your ass home. He ain't for that, okay, which is fine. And I get it and I respect that. But like being out late at night painting with my headphones on, turn with my face with my back to the street, like people will walk up on me, like, and that's why I don't paint with my headphones as much anymore. Like because I need music. I love painting music, but I at least try to have a volume down where I'm more aware of my surroundings. I don't paint late at night. Like I cut it off when the sun is going down. As it's starting to get late, it's time for me to go, And in the summertime, it stays pretty light, pretty long. But there is something that I'm thinking about, like, yeah, well, also I'm a woman. Like he might be able to paint all night and not feel as concerned with his safety. But the reality of it, when you are a woman in America, you do have to be aware of your surroundings. I feel like any person needs to be aware of their surroundings, but specifically for women, okay, that's a real thing, So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, okay, Hermes, don't compare yourself to him or his life or what he got going on. What do you want to do? The other thing is that we want to have kids at some point. We still figuring that out, but we want to have kids at some point. And so I'm like, okay, when I have kids, I want to be able to come home and cook food for the family and get the babies ready for bed and like do all the different things, So it's just a lot of different things that I'm thinking about and being conscious of what's unique for my circumstances, But the other thing that I want to talk about, okay, kind of coming back to the other thing, which is seasons, okay? Seasons is a real thing. Now, I don't know how can I break this down? Everything in life has seasons. You can have an individual season, like, oh, like what age are you at in your life? Like, what season are you in your life? Like, are you in your adolescence? Are you, are you going through a midlife crisis, quarter life crisis? Are you in your late 40s? Are you about to retire? Are you in your 60s? Like, what journey are you at in life individually, your individual season? There's also the planetary seasons, like literally, is it winter right now? Like, are you literally not able to grow a crop because there's literal snow on the ground? Like what season is that? Also, there's economic seasons. Right now, they saying we in a recession, we in a depression. Like, I don't know, like everything going on in the world, okay? So you got the economic season. You have the cultural seasons, because when you think about like Hollywood, like the golden era of Hollywood, like the Marilyn Monroes and like the, that era when it was like just a beautiful time in Hollywood, just a, well, quote unquote, beautiful time. Okay. When it was just a beautiful time to like be an actor, I guess. I don't know. Or the golden years of music, when musicians and singers and songwriters were actually able to make money off their music. That's not happening no more. We're in a whole different time with streaming, okay? It's a whole different season. So it's like, if you Beyonce, you was able to benefit from like a little bit of that, in her earlier career, and now as she's transitioning, she isn't impacted, like maybe, now I don't know her life, maybe she isn't impacted by streaming as much as a new artist would be, because she was able to reap the benefits of it, because she was in music during a season when it was still financially beneficial for some artists. Now granted, okay, there's some artists, this doesn't work for everybody, but there's just certain things. So the other thing that I'd be thinking about, like for YouTubers, I definitely don't think that like it's past the time to be successful on YouTube. Not at all. I think YouTube is still young. It's 20 years old, but like think about it, like Walt Disney has been around for 100 years. Like imagine if YouTube is going to be around for 100 years and we're in its 20th year. Like we're still in the baby phase of YouTube. That's genuinely how I feel, But I think there is a shift that we're seeing with content creation, where now as consumers, we're just a lot more aware. We're a lot more aware of everything, of the food we eat, of the content we're watching, of the celebrities. Like we are just a conscious community, where it's like now you're not able to pull, like right now, TikTok will call you out on your bullshit, okay? They will zoom in, they will show, that's a lie, that's fake, this is real, this fake. You cannot anymore. What's going on in the dark is coming to the light, which I think is beautiful. Okay, so I think that's wonderful. But I also think that there is an increased competition that's coming, especially with the TikTok ban going on. Like a lot of the TikTokers have been saying that they're gonna be coming over to YouTube, and that's great. Hey, welcome. I think YouTube is a great place. I just don't think YouTube is the place for you to quit your job. Okay, like coming back to that, I don't think YouTube is the place to quit your job, especially if you are in a personal season in your life where you in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you got real bills, you got real mortgages, you got real health issues that's going on. That inconsistency of that YouTube check would drive somebody crazy, So I really don't think that's the way. I think you have to have a business outside of YouTube. Like maybe YouTube can be like the wide funnel for you, but that can't be the thing, and it can't be brand deals either, because that's gonna ebb and flow like the wind, But now granted, if you a 17-year-old girl, if the season in your life is you's a 17-year-old girl living in your mom's house, you ain't got no bills, it's a summertime, school is closed. If I was 17 right now, I would go so hard on YouTube, it wouldn't even be funny. I would triple, double, chocolate fudge, triple, double down on YouTube if I was a 17-year-old girl living in my mama's crib. Okay? I would triple, double down. But if you's a real-time adult, okay, doing real-time things, I think you can definitely still pursue YouTube. I just think that can be your main bread and butter when you got other real stuff going on, and especially if you got health issues. Like there's just so much. There's just so much, And so I just think like, I just want us to be aware. I want us to be aware for our life and our circumstances and start to think like, is this relevant for me? Does this work for me? Am I comparing myself to somebody else who might not, who we might not even be in the same category right now? Like, we're going through completely different things. We're completely different seasons in our life, age-wise, seasonally, geographically, economically, culturally. There's so many different things to be aware of. So I don't know. Y'all. I just feel like I just had to share this because it be different things that I be want to remember for myself. And so the thing is, if you able to benefit from your season, go all in. Go all in on your season. If you are that 17-year-old girl, go all in. The thing is, what I do realize for me, I realize that, okay, here's where I want to like acknowledge my privilege and acknowledge the seasons that I was able to benefit from. I was sharing on Instagram in 2011, so it's like I was able to benefit from that time when social media was in its golden age, kind of, like Instagram is not what it is anymore. TikTok, they say, is already changing. Like, if it's still around, like, who knows? But I was able to benefit from a golden age in Instagram. I was also able to benefit because when I did decide to go all in on my art, I was 23. I was 23. I was 23. Not a worry or a care in the world. Okay? And when I think about the worries and the cares and the worlds that I had, I'd be like, girl, find some business. Get a hobby. Find some business, girl. Find some business. That's what I really be thinking. But I was able to benefit from that time. I feel like the point that I'm in now, from a 23-year-old girl to a 35-year-old woman, I'm in a difference. And if I was starting over right now, like, it will look different. It might look different. I'm not sure to what capacity I would be doing different things, if I would have the capacity, if I was starting from scratch today, I would probably go all in on TikTok maybe, but I don't know, maybe not, because then TikTok's gonna get banned. And then to go all in on a platform that can just be taken away, it's just crazy right now. Like, it's just crazy. It's like, I don't know what the kids are doing right now. So it's just like, to be real, we were able to benefit from things in the past, but what's beautiful now is that what the people have now is information. People are sharing so much information. And now, y'all know I'm not super big on taking advice from the internet. I think it's important where you can take some of that knowledge. My whole thing is not about not taking advice from the internet. I don't know. I don't want that to be what it is. I recently did another podcast on Miriam's podcast. I think it's called The Inspiration Place. I'll link that at some point when it becomes available. But we talked about my opinions on some of that, but it's not really about not taking advice from the internet. It's about just being a conscious consumer of the content that you consume on the internet. Don't let that be the end all be all. Oh, somebody said I need to quit my job and do da-da-da. Okay, I'm about to quit my job. It's no, wait, no. Are you 57? Are you almost at retirement? And do you have a chronic illness where you can be benefiting from your pensions? And you're wait, wait a second. Does this work for you? And so I just want us to be conscious consumers of the things that we're looking at, and and it's also, do you got 4 kids? Are you a single mom? Are you caring for your dad? Are you what's going on in your life? And so when you go through the filter of what's going on in your life, y'all, that's why I be feeling sometimes we got to shut the internet off. We got to tune out and tune in to ourselves of what's going on in our lives. I hope this served somebody. I hope this gave somebody some things to think about, okay? Or at least hopefully you created something during this time, or you got your house clean, whatever you got to do. I'm going to, should I get this video up today? Maybe I could whip it up real quick. That'd be like my little Christmas gift to y'all, okay? Merry Christmas, okay? Y'all can see my rough face. Girl didn't put nothing on this morning. She just said she just need to talk directly to the people, okay? So sending y'all all my love. I hope y'all have a very, very happy holiday. And I'll check in with y'all whenever I have something that I feel I need to say over here. But if not, y'all can find me over there on the main channel at AO Hamer, the artist. Have a happy holiday, y'all, and happy new year. Peace out.